What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Motivations and Memoirs. I thank you so much for coming back to view another segment. Yes, another guest is here. Oh, wow, a journey with Charles Ball. He is no stranger to Motivations and Memoirs. He has come on the program. He has hosted the men's perspective of communication in marriage, and today he is here to share with us as we embrace the topic, my life, my purpose, his praise. I want to say to you that this young man has defied the odds. He has stood tall amidst all the circumstances that were thrown at him, amidst the struggles, and he has proven that God is a young man's keeper. He has proven that where you are from does not determine where you will be. He is now pastoring all the way in Australia. I thank God that I had the privilege of not just meeting him, but I had the privilege of being with him in good fellowship. And now he is all the way over there in Australia, and he is on the mission field for the Lord. I encourage you, it doesn't matter what life throws at you. Impossibility is a thing of the mind. If God doesn't say no, do not accept no from anyone, from no circumstances. Unless God says no, remember, impossibility is a thing of the mind. Remember to share this video with somebody. Remember to leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, and guys, if you have not yet subscribed, please remember to do so. So come on over with me as I join with the handsome, taken Pastor Charles Ball. When you came on the program first, persons really liked your inputs and really enjoyed having you. And so I know they're going to enjoy having you again on this platform as we embrace the topic, my life, my purpose, his praise. I can proudly say that this young man, I have known him from teenage years, early teens, and I have watched you grown. And I don't know if I've ever told you, but I admire you so much. I consider you, as I always say, the voice of reasoning in any mayhem, a man of wisdom. And as me always say, and my husband says it too, that Charles has a brain of wisdom, all man wisdom in our young boy body. That's how we always describe you, because regardless of how things are going or what the circumstance is, you always come with so much wisdom, that always brings clarity. And I say, your mother womb blessed, and she know that her womb is really blessed. A man of purpose you are, one who people would see you there and think that, oh, because him have life easy, and them just get everything on a platter of gold. And so that's why I can't talk. So yeah, man, him did have it luck, but you're here today to share your life, your purpose, and God's praise. Welcome back to Motivations and Memoirs, Charles.
Thank you very much.
You. Bless
I'm
God.
really happy to be here.
Yes, and I am extremely, equally, overwhelmingly happy to have you again on the program. And so as we, just rush right into it, I know that you are someone who, not just me, but a lot of persons have admired over the years, and I've watched you grow and say, wow, I can be somebody, I can be great, I can achieve, because I have seen Charles achieved. So I want you to just share with us, who is Charles?
Well, it's kind of hard to say anything after that introduction. You've pretty much done everything and I said everything already. But for the parts of people might not see, those hidden parts. I certainly did not have life easy, by no long shots. I was, pretty much born and raised on Maxfield Avenue for the earlier part of my childhood until I moved from there to Portmore, and then, just moving from one place to another. That was my life typically. And, growing up in the ghetto did have its challenges, but I have to tell you, I was a very happy child, growing up there with my extended family. We were not well off or rich or in any case like that by any long shots, but we were provided for each day. I have a grandmother who worked extremely hard to make sure that her grandchildren were taken care of, that we had something to eat every day, even if it was a slice of bread. Right. So I know what it means or what it is to be hungry. I know what it is to have no clothes. As a matter of fact, when I left Maxfield Avenue, I left with one scandal bag of clothes. Wow. To go and live with my aunt in Portmore. And that was when my mother became so overwhelmed with the hardship that we as her children had to be going through. And so she reached out to my aunt, who very graciously agreed to take me to Portmore. And that's when things kind of started turning around. But of course, that also did come with its own challenges. Right. And then from there, after my aunt got sick and then eventually died in the same year that my sister was killed, I moved from there to Bay Farm Road. And if Bay Farm, it's near Waterhouse, so there's no upscale community, no, gated this and rich people. That I grew up in the most humblest of circumstances, right. In the most humble circumstances. And where I am today, I can't take any credit for that at all. It's really all glory to God. And indeed, my life is real testament of all the praise that he deserves. And as we're going through, we'll to get to talk a bit more about that. But one thing is that I never wanted anything else for my life as much as I wanted to be a Christian. From a very young age, that was the one thing that really motivated me. It's the one ambition I had. As if I did nothing else with my life, I must serve God. And I don't know where it came from. And I think that's what the Bible really means when it says that he chooses us, because absolutely. that burning passion and zeal that I had inside me, I couldn't explain where that came from, because I couldn't have made such a strong choice for myself had it not come from somewhere else, and that was for me a sort of divine call into God's purpose for my life. And I think where I am today is as a virtue of me following that call, And of course, we know from I think it's Romans 8, 27 to about 29, where he talks about those who he calls, he predestinates, and he justifies and glorifies, right. And all of that, and I think that has really been what has guided me throughout life. So the idea, therefore, is if anybody out there is hearing the call of God on their lives, the best thing you can do is answer that call and just give God a chance to lead you to wherever he's taking you to. Because I always tell people there's no way the plans that we have for ourselves are greater than the plans that God has for us. In our minds, we just want to prosper today in this world. But if we understand what we're being called into, and when in 1 Corinthians, I think 15:19, where it says that if we only have hope in this life alone, we are the most miserable of all men. Absolutely. So for us to first of all understand that what God is calling us is eternal life, and it is way greater, much more grand than anything that we can conjure up in our limited minds, we will drop every single thing that we're pursuing right now to pursue God. And that is the one thing I've tried to wholeheartedly do throughout my entire life, which is pretty much where I am, or why I am where I am today. I can't take any credit for that at all.
And so growing up on Maxfield Avenue, in the midst of violence and the pull towards getting involved, even though you were young? Because you came to know the Lord at what age again?
Just before my 13th birthday.
Right. But in a lot of these communities, you're born into it, and you see the everything that is happening, and many times you're pulled into, joining. What was that like for you?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really experience that pull because I wasn't really involved in any sort of bad company or anything like that. And it's just that when I see trouble, I run in the opposite direction. So the friends I had around me were my cousins and other people from the, in the big yard, because I literally grew up in a big yard, lots of tenement houses and different families all on the one plot. And so, you play your little children game, your dolly house, and you this and you that, and you run up and down. And I loved being outside, right? And just learning and exploring. So from the moment I wake up, I am through the door, and I only go back inside for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was always outside, just finding things and making things and creating and setting fire to things. I was a little pyromaniac. I always had a lighter on it because I was obsessed with fire, so I would try to set everything on fire. But aside from that, I was outside just exploring and climbing trees and running up and down. I was a very boy, rough and tumble and dirty all day long, and just enjoying being outside playing in dirt, and that gave me absolute joy. And if it wasn't that, I was reading some book from somewhere, because books were my escape to other places and to really see what other children my age were perhaps doing in their countries and their culture. So I always loved reading from a very young age as well. And I guess that's maybe why I am, still reading to this day and trying to finish a PhD. That's kicking me.
Still reading hundreds of pages of things, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So at 13, you, just before your 13th birthday, you accepted the Lord, followed through in water baptism, and your Christian life started. But then you were at Wolmer's High School.
Right.
How was that for you? What? Because I know, and I have the experience of teasing a Christian girl at high school, teasing her to the point where I saw her about to do something. She was about to lose herself. And when she realized what she was going to say, she broke down in tears, and my heart was broken, and I never ever interfered with her again. In fact, she became my friend. So I know that when you're at school, oh my God, Christian, whatever, it is hard because kids go out of their way to tease you. What was it like at Wolmer's for you?
I didn't have that problem at all. So Wolmer's was a whole new world for me. And it is because I was now coming to mingle with a lot of uptown people.
Okay.
Right? So I came from a totally different background, and I was all of a sudden thrown into this mix of people, coming from affluent backgrounds and rich families and, prep school. I was only coming from Brayton Primary and Junior High, so I was a bit out of place there, but I knew I belonged there, so what wasn't really the kind of place where, boys picked on each other for being Christian, because quite a few of us were Christians anyway.
Great.
And it sort of formed a very important part of the education that we got there too, because many of our teachers were also Christians. And the whole idea of having devotion every morning was sort of reassuring also. So there was a place for me to fit in where faith was concerned. So we didn't have this culture of picking on people because of their faith.
Okay. What were the lessons you learned from Wolmer's though?
Oh my goodness. So I generally tell people that I would probably redo high school if I got the chance to.
Wow.
And that is because as good as my experience was, I think I missed out on quite a few things. And it was because of a lot of trauma that I had gone through or I was going through at that age, with my sister being killed and my aunt just dying and from some mysterious illness and all sorts of different things. And I had gone through another sort of traumatic abuse incident as well, which I don't generally talk about, so I was sort of trying to cope in a high school setting while trying to deal with all these things happening in my personal life as well, so I kind of feel like I was, my view was veiled a little bit. So I got through almost on what we call natural brightness, but I couldn't commit myself to studying as much as I wanted to because there were all these other distracting factors. So for example, when my aunt died and I relocated to Bay Farm Road, I was living with my great aunt, a very old woman, and sometimes she would travel, and her brother also lived there, who was also very elderly, but he was gone in the mornings and only came back at night. During those times, as a 13-year-old, I was by myself, so I had to learn to wash, I had to learn to cook, I had to learn to clean, all of these things by trial and error at that age. And of course, being in this big old house by myself, no supervising adults, there were times I was afraid, was my safety assured? And this was actually coming out of seeing that my sister had just been killed. I was like, okay, so who's going to take care of me in case something bad happens to me? So during that time of actually going through homes, I was dealing with a lot of issues that people did not know about. And when I'm in the classroom, I'm distracted by all these thoughts and everything that's going on in my personal life. But at the same time, I'm trying to get through. And to this day, I confess, I still cannot get mathematics because I couldn't find the brain space to make it fit. I couldn't get physics. Chemistry still don't make no sense, But at the same time, I was convinced that these were the subjects I wanted to do because I was trying to chase this dream of becoming a doctor or some sort of scientist or something. So I said, okay, might as well I do it. And even though I hated them, I couldn't do well at them, I was still pursuing them. So that's when I kind of figured out that, there was really something wrong because I was chasing after something that didn't seem to like me.
Wow.
It was like running behind this girl who has no interest at all in you. And she's looking at somebody else and you're looking at her and there's just no connection, but you can't figure out what the problem is. And that didn't make sense to me until years later, until I had gone to university. I was looking back and I thought, oh my God, I was so stupid. But at the same time, I realized that there was a place for the adults to step in, for the teachers to step in, for the guidance counselors. I posted on my Facebook, I think maybe around 2 years ago or something, I was going through so much in high school and it's like I was invisible. It's like nobody saw what I was dealing with. Where were the guidance counselors? I posted that and I really reflected and I said, you know what? Teachers have such a huge role. Guidance counselors have such a huge role. And I didn't realize the importance of guidance counselors until long after I had left high school. And I was looking back and I said, oh my God, if I had had a chance to deal with all of those things that I have been going through, I probably would have turned out better. But, glory to God, I'm here today despite all of that, and it's just one thing after another thing that really lined up to allow me to get to where I am right now. And I just thank God that he showed up when he did.
Amen. And so you just celebrated your birthday a few days ago. You left high school, did well, and then it was now time for you to go to university. You enrolled, and I remember another trauma happened just as you were about to start.
Right.
I remember your mother went to collect the partner money, the partner draw, and she came and to this day, she can't tell where the money went. She know that she collected it, she had it, and she just could not say. We were all, lost because that it just not make no sense.
No sense whatsoever.
But the money was drawn away from what source, how, where, whatever. It just disappeared.
Yep.
And then you had to forego university for A year. But that did not stop you. Because I think that, I'm not sure if that was when you went to Claro.
Yes.
Right. And then so you worked out that year and then you were able to go the following year. But it's like you hit the university running, not only with studying and all of that, but doors were opened.
Oh, yes.
And I mean, it is important that young people understand. They said from long time we hear this, Jesus plus education equals success. And not that we're saying persons who have not given their lives to the Lord are not successful. We know that once you work hard and all of that, you will succeed. But we have proven that with the Lord as our guide, as our director, as our friend, as our savior, things are so much easier. I mean, you're favored. That's the word.
That's right.
Favored. Yes. Because I remember that after this incident, we don't know what God did. So I'm wondering, did God allow that to happen because he knew what plans he had? Because after she paid that first year tuition, not a red cent more.
That's right.
Has been paid for you to study up until now.
Up until now, that's right.
Up until now. And so we realize that, you know, when God is in the vessel themselves, we can smile at the storm. So yes, things come and they sort of distract or sort of detour us, but they really detour us a lot of time into purpose, right? Then when you got to UE and you went on this and you were ambassador for this and the travel started. I was saying, I always say, why? Which country you not go again? So because it was so the travels, the doors were open, and so you were there, here, there, and everywhere representing, you know, your school. But one of the things about that I admired about you is that you not only represented your school, but you were representing the Lord, because wherever you went, it was known that this was your stand. I am here. This is where I am. Boundaries. I am not going to go over there. How did you handle all of that? I mean, we know the Lord, whatever, but it must have taken something from you for God to work with. How was that for you? University and all the distractions, the secular distractions, and you're traveling all over these places to represent the school. How did you cope?
Okay, well, I'll start from the very beginning. So, you know, sometimes we have to understand that life happens, you know, and many of the things that actually happen to us, we have no control over them. The one thing that we do have control over is how we choose to respond to those things, you know. And I remember when I got saved, the first things I prayed earnestly for were wisdom. And I prayed for self-control, that God will really work on me to help me control myself, that it doesn't matter what is happening around me, that I will understand that things can still turn around, and how I respond to these things can have a far-reaching effect on my life and on the lives of other people as well. So when that money miraculously disappeared, right? And my mom came, you know, she was disappointed, long face and everything. I said, well, it looks like I'll probably have to go and find a job. You know, I didn't kick and cuss and complain or cry or anything. I just said, I'll go find a job. And that's what I did, you know. And I remember that, of course, when I did start the University of the West Indies the following year, I was still working full-time and going to classes part-time. You know, so I was trying to make it work, because I knew that somehow I was actually being called to do this thing. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier about, you know, pursuing the sciences in high school and then, you know, turn up to university, I enrolled for a bachelor's degree in linguistics, you know, because I had always loved languages from high school, but I never really considered studying languages. You know, for example, I came second in the island in the entire country of Jamaica in CXC Spanish. Right. You know, only beaten by a Cuban person, a native speaker, you know, so I knew that there was something there. And when I got to UA, I was just like, okay, I'm going to do linguistics. I wasn't even sure what linguistics was, but somehow I felt I was being called in that direction. And I said, okay, I'm going to listen to that voice. And I enrolled. And let me tell you something, you know, my CXCs were okay. I had the 8 subjects, but they weren't really the grades I wanted. Got some 1s and 2s and 3s in the mathematics and the chemistry and the physics. Those ones that I'm really terrible at.
Mhm.
But when I started linguistics, it's like everything finally made sense. I excelled through that program. It just clicked. When I find something and it's just like, where have you been all my life?
Right.
That was linguistics for me. It just made sense. And from there, I remember I was walking on campus one day to a class. And I don't know where it came from, but I heard a voice, a small, very quiet voice. And it said to me, I want you to declare right now, stop where you are and declare right now that you will never pay another cent for education as long as you live.
Wow.
And I was like, hey? Because I wasn't thinking about that. I was going about my business and I just heard a voice and declare it right now. And I stopped where I was on my way to that lecture hall and it says, as long as I live, I will never pay another cent for education. And this was after I worked and paid for my first year of UA. Second year, I got 2 scholarships. It was too much money. I had to turn one down, right? Third year came, full scholarship. So the rest of my university experience was scholarships. And from there, doors started opening and people started noticing me like, there's something about this guy, and so they literally brought opportunities to me. I didn't even have to go seeking for them, and so I realized that, oh my God, I feel like I'm in the right place doing the right thing. And distractions at university weren't a big deal for me because I was never a party person and I was never this, pleasure seeking, fun seeking sort of person. And some things just make more sense. I figure I can't get anything much out of, going to parties for, 3 hours of my time. There is no return on that. There is no value in that investment of my time. So I went after things which were meaningful, things that were valuable. So I joined Spanish Club, eventually became the president of Spanish Club, joined the UStat, Students Today, Alumni Tomorrow, Vice Chancellor, Ambassador Corps, ended up traveling to Russia, and to Barbados and Trinidad and Panama and all over the place, doing all sorts of different things, and to Aruba on language research trips. So I was focused in terms of, I was here and I realized, oh my God, there's so many opportunities.
Right.
All of a sudden, I saw that I had a chance to travel to all of these countries that I had only dreamt about or read about in books, from those Maxfield days. And I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so many opportunities here. I would be stupid if I left this place and didn't try to make the best of these. And that's exactly what I did. And so I went on all of these trips, didn't have to pay 1 cent for any of them, because I applied myself and I just followed that leading. Sometimes we feel like something is tugging on our strings and I say, come this way. And we're so stubborn but that thing over there looks so good. I want that over there. And you keep going there. And the thing is saying, come this way. I was always very good at following that sort of tugging on my spirit. And it's always led me to the right place, to somewhere where God is doing something in my life and then taking me to a next place. So there I surrounded myself with a lot of Christian friends also. You have to know where you're going. I have to understand that by surrounding yourself with certain kinds of people, you can get there quicker. Instead of associating with the time wasters and the people whose parents are so rich that they can afford to spend 10 years doing one bachelor's degree. I don't have that luxury, right? So I went after people who were bright. First of all, the brightest people who are my friends, because you must be able to help me to get to where I am going. Right? And I made some of the most wonderful friends during my UA days. So that wasn't a struggle for me at all. Everything just fell in the right place once I listened to the voice of God. And one of the major things that came out of that as well is that because I started a year later, I met my wife during one of those lectures, and it is still just so strange how all of that unfolded, but we just met and became friends and that was it.
Yes.
if I had started the year before, I probably would not have met her because she's a year younger than me and actually started university what would have been a year later than me as well, right? So I should have started in 2007 when I left sixth form at Wolmer's, but she would have started and did start in 2008. And because I started a year later, I met her during those first year lectures. And here we are today.
Purpose. And you have been married is what now? 6 years?
5 years.
Oh, 5.
Going 6 years, almost 6 years. Yes.
Almost 6 years. Not only have you excelled in school, but you have also excelled in ministry. So you grew up in the church and you went through the ranks. You applied yourself to every area. Sunday school, you were able to do this, you were able to do that. And you prayed, as you say. I don't remember. Probably I heard it before. I think I remember you saying that. But the self-control part was strange to me that you prayed for. But you know, it's how good God is, and the fact that God knows our hearts, and He knows what is best for us. And the fact that you were able to say, Lord, give me wisdom and help me to have self-control. So it's like you went into this thing already having your back at it. God don't have your back. God don't sort you out, so to speak,
right,
because you had asked for what you want. We saw you as well excelling in the church, excelling in ministry, growing in wisdom. I mean, I don't think I have met anybody dissect the word the way you have. I mean, you put our minds in tailspin is the word, where we have to go back and think, and you're like, seriously? Then all them years, did I read this? I never get that. That kind of thing where it causes us to, it's like you sent us back to the Bible as a young man, right? When you came out to share a word or in a Bible discussion or whatever, we had to go look back on the word to say, I really so? Well, I mean about me. Like, really? I never see it that way. Oh my word. Right. So wisdom indeed was given to you. To God be the glory.
Amen. Then
you met the lovely Browning, Tina White Ball. And she also, and she's supposed to come on this program, you know, and please send a reminder for me that I am still waiting on her. But another bright spark. So I wonder what the children are going to be like. We're on a plan to school them. At what age they're going to start school? Because I'm thinking that by 1 year old, I'm not going to have to enroll them because you are naturally bright. She's naturally bright. So or me put that together now, forget for equal what the children going to be. It's sort of sound away. So you met your wife, and both of you have now moved over to Australia, and because of scholarship as well. She got the scholarship to go do her PhD by just being God's child. And that's why I like people to understand that when you're a Christian, your life not done. And when you're a Christian, you know, boring, and you're not being left behind because you have given your life to the Lord. No, God takes care of his own. And so also saw where the Lord took care of her by, you know, just pushing her in that direction. And she went to open the door for you, literally, right? And so you were able to join after. She as you know, done what she also was called to do. The good thing is that God never ever leaves his children, and God just, I don't know. Well, he's God, so we will never understand how to explain it, how to wrap our minds around just how strategic he is. Oh my Lord, it was Jimmy Cliff who wrote, I believe, and sang the song. You can make it if you really want, but you must try, try and try, and you will succeed at last. There are so many things that come at us, you know, as we try to progress. There are so many things that tries to pull us back. There are so many situations, you know, that tries to throw stumbling blocks in our ways. But one thing I guarantee you, with Christ in our vessels, we truly can smile at the storms. It takes determination and a made-up mind. A man who is determined not to settle. A mind who understands that better is on before. You have heard the first part of Charles's testimony. Come back next week for the next part. And guys, remember, leave a comment. Remember to give it a thumbs up. Also, share with somebody and tell them to share with somebody else. If you have not yet subscribed to Motivations and Memoirs, please do so. Hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell so that you will know as soon as I upload a video. Walk good, and I will see you next week. And remember guys, impossibility is a thing of the mind. Blessings.